Ladies and gentlemen, it is 5:44 EST on Monday night. We have two full games yet to play out, but in this moment in time, Brian Thomas Jr. is the wide receiver 12 in a full PPR. If you're an owner in redraft, you have to be pretty excited, but especially if you're an owner in Dynasty, this guy looks legit. In this video, we're going to take a look at his advanced analytics through 4 weeks. We're going to take a look at his game-by-game stat lines. Then we're going to break down his target share, rush share, and snap share from week to week. And finally, we're going to break down film from week 4 and see if we see what I'm going to show you in these advanced analytics on film. Starting out with a couple of advanced stats, in terms of his yards per route run, his 2.2 ranks 20th in the entire NFL. When you formation adjust his yards per route run, his 1.87 is good for 19th. These are top 20 figures in the entire NFL for a rookie in his first 4 games. That is crazy. And this guy isn't getting nearly the buzz as Rome Odunze did after week 3, especially Malik Neighbors and MHJ. And those players all deserve the praise that they were getting, but BTJ is being slept on. When we look at his target separation, his 2.29 average yards of target separation is 9th in the entire NFL. When I show you the routes in which he's running, you're going to see that it's actually a diverse route tree as well, and that makes it even more impressive. Now, looking at the route win rate, his 66.7% route win rate, 2/3 of his routes he wins, is good for 3rd in the entire NFL. This guy is dominating at the NFL level immediately as a rookie. Looking at his stat lines through 4 games, in week 1, he finished with 14.7 full PPR points. He played 77% of the snaps, and he finished with 4 targets, 4 receptions, 47 yards, and 1 touchdown. That's incredibly efficient and a fantastic first week. However, it was almost much bigger than that. He had about a 40-yard touchdown that he wasn't able to corral because Jalen Ramsey committed DPI. Then when we look at his week 2 production, he only played in 73% of the snaps, so a little bit down from the 77 in week 1, but he still finished with 4 targets just like in week 1. However, he finished with 2 receptions for 94 yards, including a long gain of 66. And what this showed us is, even on a limited target share, he has the ability to greatly impact the game. Almost 100 yards on 4 total targets, including 2 receptions. Dude, that's crazy. And then when we go to week 3, all right, he played 73% of the snaps again, so the same as week 2, still down from week 1. But look at his targets. They went from 4 and 4 all the way up to 9. And now 5 for 48 doesn't sound that impressive, but T-Law missed him on an open dig route where he was at worst going to get 20 yards. So it really very easily could have been 6 for 68. But if he had scored, it would have been about 6 for 88 and a touchdown, and you would have been even more impressed. And then when we look at this week, on 76% of the snaps, so up from 73 the past 2 weeks, and still down 1% from week 1, he still finished with 9 targets again. He converted 6 of those for 86 yards and a touchdown. Once again, through 4 weeks, in a full PPR, this guy is the wide receiver 12. This guy is being slept on. When we take a look at BTJ versus the other Jacksonville wide receivers, he finished 2nd in targets to Christian Kirk's 12 with his 9. Still, between the two of them, they made up almost the entirety of Trevor Lawrence's passes. When we look at his receptions, he finished 2nd to Christian Kirk once again. But in terms of his yardage, he easily beat out Kirk with 86 to Kirk's 61, and both of them each had a touchdown. And so you could argue, yes, Brian Thomas Jr. wasn't the wide receiver 1 in the sense of he didn't have the most total targets. However, the routes in which he's running and the position of wide receiver that he's playing, he's not just a slot-only wide receiver like Kirk generally is. This guy is running the big boy routes. He's facing the top corners, and he's getting a ton of separation, and he's incredibly successful on his routes. Basically, in week 4, the offense ran through BTJ and Kirk, and nobody else really did much of anything, at least through the air. Bigsby and ETN were pretty efficient on the ground. When we look at Brian Thomas Jr. from week to week, in week 1, once again, he had a 77% snap share. He didn't record a rush, but he had a 21.05% target share. That is a wide receiver 2 level of target share. Pretty solid for your first game. 4 targets, 4 receptions, 47 yards, and a touchdown. You'll definitely take that. It was almost much bigger. In week 2, he only played 73% of the snaps, didn't record a rush, and his target share went down from 21.05% to 14.81%. Still 4 targets though, just like in week 1. And so the output was relatively the same in that regard. However, once again, he had 2 receptions for 94 yards. And so on 4 targets and 2 receptions, this guy almost had 100 receiving yards. When we look at week 3, he had 73% of the snaps played, no rushes, but his target share went back up from 14.81 to 20.45%, which is once again that of a wide receiver 2. But his targets went from 4 and 4 all the way up to 9, and his 5 for 48 wasn't the best, but he was missed on an easy dig route that he definitely could have taken to the house. You would have been thoroughly impressed with his fantasy performance if he had housed that. In week 4, he played 76% of the snaps, had 1 rush, so that gives him a 4.17% rush share, and he had 9 targets, which was a 28.13% target share. That is the target share of a wide receiver 1. In general, to be a wide receiver 1, you need to have at least 28%, and so it was on the low end. That's pretty good, though, for somebody that is just this raw burner that lacks all the nuance with the route running. This guy is very, very good at route running. He has massively improved from this past year as a junior at LSU to being a rookie in the NFL. You can tell that he has worked a ton on his route running. And so when we think about this, he is the wide receiver 12, at least at the point of me making this video, in a full PPR. While in 2 of 4 weeks, he only had 4 total targets. That's how efficient this guy is with his targets and how much he's dominating at the NFL level. This upward trajectory of at least total targets and in general going from, 14.81 to 20.45 to 28.13 is exactly what we want to see from a number 1 wide receiver. He profiled as a number 1 wide receiver. He has the height, the speed, the ability to win deep. He isn't the best at the catch point from time to time. He doesn't really go up to moss people. He kind of lets the ball come to his chest somewhat. He doesn't catch it with, he's not a body catcher, but he doesn't always go up to the highest point to snag the ball. And so that is one criticism, but he has most of the attributes that you really want from a number 1 wide receiver. On this first play, the Jags hit the Texans with a PA fake. BTJ's in the slot. He's running a short crosser. He gets 2+ yards of separation from the cornerback guarding him. One thing about BTJ, and a consistent theme in this video, is you're going to see a lot of separation. When he gets to run in a straight line, it's a wrap. That 4.33 40-yard dash speed absolutely translates on the NFL field. On this play, BTJ is running an out and up. He hits the cornerback with a little bit of a stutter step as he pretends to run an out route, then heads upfield. Notice the massive separation that he gains. He starts to pull away from the cornerback. Look at that 4.33 speed. It's a shame that T-Law misses him here. That would have been a crazy highlight catch. But yeah, you've seen through 2 plays so far, he has multiple yards of separation. Not feet. It isn't contested. He has yards of separation. On this play, BTJ is running a fade route. He's matched up with Stingley. He has about a yard of separation. He and T-Law aren't on the same page, and so it falls incomplete. But still, that's about a yard of separation from Derek Stingley. He's an elite cover corner. Another thing to help you contextualize his, at least at this point, wide receiver 12 overall finish. He's played the likes of Denzel Ward, Jalen Ramsey, Derek Stingley. These aren't bum cornerbacks that he's mossing and just outright burning. These are elite cover corners. This is wonderful work that we've seen so far from BTJ. This guy is going to be a very, very good wide receiver in the NFL. Another thing to mention, not all of these plays are against Stingley. Some of them are against second-round rookie Kamari Lassiter. So it's not like he's playing a bum no matter who's on him. Look at this dig route. Look at the separation that he gets on Lassiter here. This guy is so fast. He's so crisp with his cuts. This guy is going to be practically unguardable because you're going to have to get a cornerback that is, first of all, skilled enough to not fall for any of the fakes, that isn't scared of getting beat deep and has the makeup speed when he does make a slight mistake against BTJ to make up for it. There are some corners that'll be able to reasonably stay with him, but I'm telling you, there aren't going to be very many. I really think this guy is going to be an elite wide receiver. He definitely isn't there yet, but we are just 4 games into his NFL career, and this is what we're seeing on film from somebody that's a raw rookie. All right, we are 4 clips down and we have 4 more to go. I would really appreciate it if you like what you're hearing and seeing to like and subscribe. It's a free and easy way to support the channel. Thank you. All right, so you might be asking yourself, okay, so BTJ is really good at getting separation, and when he does, he's successful. But what about when he's not able to? This is what happens. He's running a slot fade here against Kamari Lassiter. He gets at the very end because of a slight push off from him, about half of a yard of separation. It's a beautiful ball from T-Law. He hangs onto the ball through contact. The ground does knock the ball out, but it's still ruled a catch. And yeah, beautiful play from T-Law to BTJ. One trait of Brian Thomas Jr. that I haven't mentioned yet is that he's really, really tough. I didn't see it quite as much on his collegiate film as I've seen it throughout his 4-game NFL career, but he fights through contact really, really well, especially for somebody that isn't a tank like a DK Metcalf, Deebo Samuel type of player. Here's an example of this. The Jaguars feed Brian Thomas Jr. a reverse here. He lets his block set up nicely from Brenton Strange. He cuts to the left just a little bit. He is contacted by 2 defenders. He bounces off of them, gets another yard or 2. It's a gain of 13. He does get smacked at the end of the play, though. But nonetheless, I really like the vision he displays here and the toughness to fight for as many yards as he can possibly get. Here, the Jaguars are running a wide receiver screen for BTJ. This is the first thing I'm going to ding him for, and it's just a one-play thing here. He gets the screen, he lets his blocking develop, and I like that. But if you notice at the top of your screen, Tank Bigsby is handling Stingley. He's doing a pretty good job. I think BTJ could have cut to the right and potentially been gone for a long touchdown, or at least a chunk gain. And so once again, it's just one play, but if he had noticed that, that would have been a much bigger play than the about 5-6 yards that he gained on this screen. On this final play, Brian Thomas Jr. is running a curl route. It's somewhat of a pick play so that D'Ernest Johnson can potentially have an open look in the flat. Nonetheless, he works himself around the flat defender, sits down, finds the hole in zone coverage, makes sure that he's past the sticks, falls forward for a couple extra yards, and it's a really smart move from him to find the hole in the zone coverage, sit down, and fall forward immediately. I like what I'm seeing from him. He's beaten both man and zone so far, and it's really going to help him become a complete wide receiver that he already is able to exploit the holes in zone coverage and that he's fast enough to just burn man coverage. This is going to go a long way to him hitting his peak potential as a wide receiver. Well, there you have it. Through 4 weeks, Brian Thomas Jr. is the wide receiver 12 in a full PPR, at least at the point of me recording this video. Once again, there's still 2 games left to play on Monday night. I've been nothing but impressed with BTJ. He was profiled as this lanky, raw project of a wide receiver that, yeah, he can run a streak, cool. No. This guy has incredible upside. This guy, while it's not the most likely outcome, has the potential to be a Julio Jones type of wide receiver. All he needs to do is get a little bit better at the catch point, refine his route running just a little bit, expand his release packages as well. But what we're seeing through 4 games is incredible. This guy would be the wide receiver 1 in a decent amount of classes, or at least in the discussion. It's just unfortunate for him. There was Odunze, Neighbors, and MHJ. But nonetheless, this guy is a first-round wide receiver, and he is showing us why he was a first-round wide receiver. Things I like about him is that, first of all, he's really quick and fast. He can accelerate and decelerate insanely quickly. He makes sharp cuts on his routes. He's running a diverse route tree. We've seen curls, we've seen crossers, we've seen slot fades, wide receiver screens, dig routes, wide receiver reverses. This guy is running the full route tree, and he's winning. And he's not only winning against bum cornerbacks, he's winning against very good cornerbacks such as Derek Stingley, Denzel Ward, and Jalen Ramsey. And he's doing that in his first 4 games. If you saw my prospect profile video on BTJ, I told you that while this is the most unlikely outcome, he has the potential, if he hits everything correctly, to be Julio Jones. He needs to tighten up his route running. He needs to get better at the catch point. He needs to improve his release packages for sure. But he has the physical attributes. Also, one more thing. This guy is literally the 10th most athletic wide receiver since 1987. This guy is insane. And this is just 4 games. By the end of his NFL career, he might be more so in the conversation with the MHJs, the neighbors, than with the rest of this class. He still definitely has a ways to go to become quite that level of a talent at wide receiver. Counting stats don't necessarily tell you the whole story, but the potential is absolutely there. But what do you think? Have you been impressed with BTJ so far? Is there something that you haven't seen from him that you'd like to see? Let me know below in the comments section. With that being said, if you like what you've seen and heard in this video, feel free to like and subscribe. It's a free and easy way to support the channel. Thank you.